Hello, it's me, Josh Hunter. I am presently on the planet Earth, and I would like to say some things. This is theory, speculation. I technically don't have any proof at this point, but okay. So in one video, or perhaps two videos, I discussed what a soul might actually be. In older times, and philosophers, of the olden times, what they would do is they'd, discuss, like, what is the soul? Where is the soul located? And anybody who studied any of this type of stuff, there's always this discussion of the soul. What is it, and where do you find it? So I've been thinking, because if you also listen to those guys who talk about ancient aliens, they're always saying, like, these people were depicted as gods, but maybe they were just nuts and bolts extraterrestrials. So I was thinking, what if the soul? All right. So if you not combine this, but if you, I guess you partner this theory with the theory of reincarnation. All right. So all right, if there is a soul, what is it? Where is it? Is reincarnation real? Also, another thing to think about. So if reincarnation is real, then of course you would have to have a soul. But how does a soul reincarnate? So most people, or most of my studies anyway, people just assume that when you die, your soul goes somewhere, rests for a bit, and then and somehow you come back or whatever. So my theory is that your soul is the momentum of all of your efforts while you are living. And so, because the Earth is moving at 66,000 miles an hour, therefore every human being is moving at least 66,000 miles an hour. Therefore, when you die, that momentum of your life of 66,000 miles an hour, where does that go? And I'm assuming it stays on the Earth, and it just keeps going. And this may also be why people think that there are ghosts, because the momentum of your soul from when you die would also appear as certain things that occur. That energy, that focus, everything that you did, everything that you thought and felt. And the process of being reborn, I assume, would be when that momentum is able to find like an accurate container, being a human body. So when things line up, when everything matches, the momentum that you had, I'm assuming anyway, then you find, and then when there's a match, then you're able to be born again. And this is my theory as to what a soul is. And in fact, the entire planet could be you could be literally walking through souls, because if that momentum, imagine like your soul just kept on going, just going around the Earth like a ring, like rings around the Earth, which manifest as a soul or as a human, and then as a human being. So, if this is the case, so basically if this is the case, like I said, I've been trying to believe that it would be a good idea to wait before anybody starts exploring other places other than Earth. I know people got their spaceships now, and they think, oh, let's conquer it all. Yeah. But I think there should be a lot more studies. I would wait at least 100 more years, minimum 100 years. And so I'm thinking like, all right, maybe I'm thinking, if this is the case on Earth, then potentially all of these other planets maybe used to have people as well, which means there might potentially also be souls there as well. So if you transfer the momentum that you had on, and then there's the question is, like, when you move your body, does that momentum leave the Earth, or does that momentum transfer to the other planet? And if there are already, like, if all these, so in theory, let's say there used to be a whole bunch of people on all these planets, and they all died, and we're the only ones left here on Earth. Like every other planet in our solar system had people living there, societies and all that, and they all died, and it's just us. So, technically speaking, if you went onto those planets, according to this theory, which I am saying here, if you went to those other planets, those souls according to this theory of, what, solar momentum. I don't know what you would call it, but the activity of the soul moving, then the other planet would, those souls would still be in momentum, but there would be no bodies into which they could find and locate. So if you go into that other planet without knowing how the souls work there, then you could potentially be possessed by whatever souls existed on that place before, if people existed there previously. So this is one of the reasons why I warn against. You may have all the atmospheric conditions, okay? You can grow life and do all those things, but you don't know about, as of yet. I mean, as far as we know, we don't know. We can't measure the activities of souls and how they move. But if you were to go to another planet without fully understanding how a soul works, and then the momentum of the previous people who lived there, it would be like going crazy, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, because to be a different planet, different place. I mean, unless we were all similar, But if we were all similar, why did they all die and we all survive? So I'm just saying, is it really a good idea? I mean, think about how difficult it is to go into space. We already got everything we need here. So what are you going out into space for? I mean, the only reason why I could think to go into outer space is to defend yourself against what might be out there. But even that, I'm assuming you can gather all those defenses here. You wouldn't need to go out, and even then you could send out robots instead. Although even that I would imagine to be kind of risky. I'm not the leaving type, but then again, I might also be I can be like a social hypocrite as well. So I don't know if I'm necessarily, and when I say social hypocrite, it means my morals and ideals remain constant, but sometimes I say things that are Well, here's what I think. I don't assume that I know everything, and so to leave room on the off chance that there are things that I haven't figured out. On the off chance there are things that I haven't figured out, I say, I could be a social hypocrite because based on based on my perception of myself. So, okay, what's a social hypocrite? I mean, well, what's a hypocrite? A hypocrite says that they're they want this thing, but then they do it. There's an inconsistency in behavior and action. Inconsistency in the speech. Inconsistencies meaning, flip flop. So it's possible that socially I may be like this, but it doesn't necessarily mean that my logic is incorrect. Okay, my logic is always no, I didn't mean. My logic is always consistent. I think it is anyway. I always attempt to make sure that my logic is consistent. So, but I don't want to be the type of person who doesn't know about, my less than desirable qualities. So the one that seems most, prominent to me anyway is the social hypocrisy. But my morals and ethics remain intact regardless. If I'm not mistaken, that's what I do the most work on. I mean, I don't do the most work on it. I make sure that I understand I always try to make sure that I understand the difference between right and wrong. I mean, that's what they always ask you, right? When you go into some institution, they're like, all right, do you know the difference? Oh, no, when you're on trial. That's right. When you want to prove whether or not somebody is sane or insane, they say, do you know the difference between right and wrong? And we say an insane person does not know the difference between right and wrong. So, anyway, I just wanted to make sure that I had this noted. I don't know if this... Like I said, based on the way things are going now, I don't know. I don't think you guys are going into space for a while. But there are a lot of things that I am not familiar with. So, but all right. What is something else I wanted to. Really enjoying my my grenade shaped house that I built. I'm trying to think of a name though. What do I call it? I mean, I don't know what to because I'm usually very good. I mean, all right. When I was younger, what I used to do is I would always, I thought that I might like forget like the people who I knew. So every like couple of years, I would write the list. I would write a list of names of all the people that I knew, who I would say hello to if I saw them in the street. I was doing this in maybe 8th grade, definitely like in maybe 2005, and I would just write down like a list of like everyone that I knew, or everyone I knew who, if I saw them in the street, I would say hello. And so I think it's important just to make sure that you don't like forget certain things. And sometimes if you can't remember something, if you remember a person, it helps you to remember. Like if you understand what a person's existence in your life means, this is why they have you study symbols. Like the purpose of a symbol is to remind you of something in some clothed way, or in a way that makes it memorable. So the people in your lives, I mean, even if you don't like them, or even if you can't stand them, they, at least one function that they could have is to remind you of something that you need to remember. So each person has a symbolic value, even if nothing less. Even if they are just complete, like, um, things that you, or people that even, even if they are like, not something, or not someone, even if they do not represent anything seemingly of use or value to you. But if you understand their symbol, then they have value. Because if you remove a symbol, sometimes the symbol is a signpost. It's just like there to tell you like what's going on. The reason why I bring this up is because I was walking earlier this morning, and somebody had posted like some type of propaganda poster with and they cut out a clip from a South Park episode where I think where Randy Marsh he would always show up to the Suns baseball games. He'd always get drunk and start fighting with the other dads. So they took a clip from that, and they used and every time he'd get arrested on that episode, he'd be like, "What? I thought this was America. I thought this was America." And so they used that clip of him, and underneath it they put all the. So anyway, this propaganda thing that someone posted on a fucking light lamppost or whatever. They said maybe, yeah, whatever. They posted something. Anyway, the words underneath it were something about like what's going on right now with like how we're being treated during the coronavirus or something. And so I did a little graffiti on it, and it said, because as you know in South Park, one of the common themes is like, there's this class of people in South Park, and they always say, they took our jobs, they took our jobs, which is, they took our jobs, and that's their whole thing. It's like, oh, they took our jobs. And so I scribbled, like, I graffitied on this guy's, or whoever put it, the propaganda, they took our moderate sense of socioeconomic stability. Wait, hang on. They took our moderate sense of socioeconomic stability. And I thought that's pretty funny, yeah. But someone came along and they ripped out Randy Marsh, like, which was the most recognizable character there. And otherwise, it just looks like, if you didn't know South Park, maybe if you just saw the police officers, maybe if you understood that style. But if you just saw the police officers and you didn't see like Randy Marsh, you wouldn't realize why it's funny to be saying, "Oh, they took her." Like that's the core of the comedy. The core of the comedy right there is they took her jobs. The feeling of they. Anyway, come on, I got it. So I'm just trying to explain to you I'm trying to explain to you the relevance of symbols, the value of a symbol. So in that particular come on, nope, 20 seconds. Right. In that particular instance, Randy Marsh represented the thing that would remind you that my little joke that I wrote down there would tell you, oh, okay, when they say I'm not being particularly serious when they say they took our, but if you just saw that and you didn't see Randy Marsh, you'd be like, well, why is that funny? Anyway, so all right, thank you. 33 years old, and I've never made a mistake.